All right, welcome back everyone to the latest Lilypad AMA. Super excited to have everyone here. We'll just give it all a minute for people to sort of trickle in, but welcome, welcome, welcome. Logan, thanks for joining us on this fine Wednesday morning or afternoon, I guess.
Looks like you need to turn your. There you go. Nice.
Oh yeah, got to do full screen. Turn my dark reader off.
We're in dark mode already.
Yep. Gonna start flashbanging people now without my dark mode. That's not good. We need dark mode.
Exactly.
Cool. All right, well, let's jump right into it. So, as usual, we like to start off by sort of talking about what's Lilypad, why are we here, what's the vision. So, Lilypad's building accessible, efficient, permissionless open compute network. The idea is to build a global permissionless distributed compute network in a marketplace for that compute. So, the real vision here is to crowdsource GPUs from around the world using crypto economic incentives and peer-to-peer networking using stuff like Bacalhau and blockchain verification to allow to basically democratize access to GPU compute. The main use cases and the main customers right now are running AI, ML functions, but of course you can run other types of arbitrary computations on the network. It's all generally in a serverless job-based architecture, so we can talk about that more later, but essentially you're not renting a GPU out for a certain period of time. You're paying per job. You're paying per compute process. So for example, if you're running text to image, you're running like Stable Diffusion on the Lilypad network, you pay per compute job. And currently we're in testnet, and so those computations are for free. But as we move into mainnet, targeting end of Q1 next year, early Q2, then of course you'll be paying in the Lilypad token, and compute providers will earn token rewards, essentially monetizing their idle GPU compute, which is awesome. In addition to that, resource providers, as we call them, people who have these GPUs, have to collateralize Lilypad tokens. And so the idea is that there's a financial disincentive to cheat the system or to misbehave. And so that's sort of the vision and the sort of the reason for the Lilypad token. And so just real quick, sort of like looking at the architecture, at the end of the day, you can think of it as sort of Airbnb for GPUs. So we're matching compute clients with compute providers. We have a solver, which is an off-chain market matching system, which essentially, gets resource offers from the GPU providers and then gets the compute offers from clients. Clients will send in compute offers using our CLI. We have smart contracts that you can call Lilypad jobs from. So very cool. You can execute an AI job from a smart contract. And then in our roadmap, we're building out a SaaS layer to make it really easy to onboard a Lilypad module, maybe from Hugging Face or some other repo where you have the code saved, like GitHub, and then be able to run the model, also be able to generate, like an API that a front end could hit. And so, we're really excited about positioning ourselves in the middle of a developer's workflow or a machine learning researcher's workflow to where, we make it very easy to go from, zero to running, for example, BioML models in weeks, not months. And then of course, in the middle here, under the solver, we have the smart contracts. So the Lilypad network runs the payments, escrow, ERC20, deal details, all that goes through smart contracts. Right now, we're deployed on the Arbitrum Layer 2 network. So that's been really great, and that's been for our testnet. That's been a great place to be. Time to finality is very low, high transaction throughput, low cost of transactions. So that's where we've been. We're currently debating what to do for our multi-chain deployment. We're obviously looking at deploying to multiple different chains. Also, where our home chain is going to be for mainnet. We're evaluating a couple different options, but it's very exciting. And then the mediator part is something that's pretty tricky that we're basically running ourselves, and we're going to understand sort of the right way to run it in a decentralized setting. But essentially, the mediator checks to validate kind of randomly and challenge a GPU to run a job, and then evaluate whether or not the output is deemed successfully run and correct. Correct is a little bit difficult as we're running non-deterministic jobs, but that's something that is very exciting. So the big call to action, as always, is onboard GPUs to the network. We are in the middle of our incentive net, and you can earn Lilybit rewards tokens for providing compute capacity. So on the right here, as you can see, we have our Lilypad leaderboard, which is kind of the one-stop shop public location for resource providers to know, how many Lilybit points have I earned. And the way you earn Lilybit points is you download the Lilypad binary. You have some prerequisites like Docker NVIDIA drivers, a couple other things like that. And then you'll be running proof of works at least twice every hour. Sometimes a random one will come also. And as long as you're online for at least 4 hours, so you've run, I guess, 8 proof of works, right, consistently, then you'll get Lilybit rewards. And we have a daily rewards multiplier. So for every basically 4-hour chunk of time, so 4 hours, 8 hours, if you're up for 8 hours, you get a 2x rewards multiplier. So our entire mechanism has been built to incentivize long-term participation, long-term commitment of GPUs. Obviously we need GPUs to have like great uptime. And so, the rewards mechanism is tailored to that. And upon mainnet launch, the Lilybit tokens, the Lilybit rewards have been allocated around 10% of the total Lilypad tokens that will be launched, the ERC20. And so there's quite a bit of incentive to join the network early and to get involved. And as I mentioned, we're using Arbitrum to provide verification and validation of the compute jobs. So we have off-chain compute with on-chain guarantees. We find that to be a very good combination in terms of scalability, cost, security, and providing a service for developers that just works. So we have a lot of resources for IncentiveNet. We have the leaderboard, as I mentioned. The Lilybit rewards blog there is actually old. I'm going to replace this. I'm talking later in the slides. I talk about we have a new rewards calculation that we just launched yesterday, which is super exciting. But yeah, go check out our blog.lilypadnetwork.org, and you can check out. We do project reports, so we talk a lot about what's going on in engineering, what's going on with community, what's going on with developer relations, and of course, like what's the latest with IncentiveNet. So definitely go check that out. But join the Discord, lilypad.team/Discord. It's an incredible community. I mean, I don't know, Logan, you and I are in there a lot. I think we have a lot of fun hanging out with the group and the community, and they help us troubleshoot. They give us feedback. A lot of the feedback has been implemented. I know you've been enjoying, hanging out in the Discord with the community.
Yeah, I think it goes to show how anything nowadays, anything in this modern era of time is anything, especially on the internet, is really just, I guess, connectable or observable. That's what I think I love about the internet. And so the amount of people who are just amazing experts at various different endeavors it's incredible to see resource providers who are just toting some of the largest, massive GPUs. I mean, I'm talking, just looking at some of our infrastructure and seeing what's on the network. I'm just very, very excited.
To
see the knowledge in the Discord, in the various, channels. We've got channels for everyone. And
I really appreciate the level of expertise in the community. I think expertise attracts expertise, right? And so it definitely feels like we have a very, very technical community, very experienced community. And so that's like a pleasure to work with. And thank you, whoever is watching who's in our community. Thank you. Join our community. Get involved. Go in and help answer questions, or go in and just chat about hardware or whatever it is, right? Get involved. Give our team suggestions, right? Give us feedback. Build on top of our network, right? There's a lot of opportunities to build, to run modules, to build front ends. We are in testnet. We have noticed some inconsistencies with running some modules, and so talk to us. Let us know what you're seeing, and we will implement fixes and work with you to do that. And then on the bottom, there's just a lot more resources. So we have our docs.lilypad.tech, more blogs. Go check all that out. So we announced this last week, and I thought it was good to just highlight it again. We're really proud of our open source rewards program. Well, our open source initiative in general, right? Lilypad is 95% open source, and that's been our mission since day one, is to build in public and provide not only verifiable compute, but actually auditable code that the community can go look at and say, hey, this is interesting. Why'd you do this? Or, hey, I want to contribute, some unit tests, or I want to contribute, to the community and help build out the network. So we've had some amazing contributors already. As you can see on the left here, we've got the leaderboard. So we do, on a monthly basis, look at who contributed, what was the difficulty of their contribution, sort of what was the scope and the impact. And we provide Lilybit rewards for those contributions, because we believe that building a community is essential, and rewarding early contributors is the right thing to do. And our CEO Ali has made a big point to make sure that I believe around 50 to 70% of the Lily bits will go to resource providers, and around 50 to 30% will go to open source contributors, people building modules, people building plugins, companies doing integrations. So, we're really, really passionate about, incentivizing and rewarding early contributions, because obviously those are what make us special. So yeah, go check out, the Lilypad main repo. We got Lilypad tools, awesome Lilypad community bots, a bunch of repos that have issues in there. Especially in the Lilypad main repo, we have issues that are labeled as community issues. So there's a tag there. Those have been sort of picked out by our team as like, oh yeah, these would be awesome community issues. And so yeah, go pick those up. Let us know how we can support you. And then if you have other issues that you're interested in, like, let us know. I mean, our team's open. We're not necessarily just set on community issues. So do let us know if you find something that you're interested in that maybe isn't on that, it doesn't have that tag. We're definitely open. Also, I can't speak more about the community without mentioning the ambassadors. So we have this incredible program, the Lilypad ambassadors. Maybe some of them are on the stream today. Welcome. Thanks. We appreciate all the work. The Lilypad ambassadors program was really created to recognize the work and the contributions of some very passionate and outgoing community members. So, we have community members who are resource providers, who are giving us feedback, who are answering questions in the Discord. They're building tools to, monitor their nodes better, to do like automated reporting, automated updates. I mean, just tons of cool stuff. And so we built a program specifically for the individuals who are just consistently contributing, and they want to join the community at a much deeper level. And so the ambassadors have access to a sort of a special Discord channel where they have direct access to the team. We do a lot of chatting in there about stuff they're seeing. Even some of the ambassadors will help us test version releases. I mean, they are very much involved in Lilypad on a weekly basis. And it's honestly been so much fun. Our current ambassador lead, Kabula Rasa, is an absolute legend. In addition to the other ambassadors, they're all legends, to be honest with you. But yeah, we're looking for more. We're always looking to. It's not sort of like a finite thing. We want more ambassadors to join, bring different types of expertise, different types of interests. So that would be awesome. Yeah, Logan, I know you've also had a lot of interactions with the ambassadors. It feels like such an awesome sort of extension of our team in terms of not just being able to help newcomers run the CLI, run a resource provider, but also like help us really like stress test the testnet, stress test the resource provider, stress test the docs. Like I know you've had quite a bit of interactions with the ambassadors.
Yeah, I think it's really important to really, I guess, assert and pay attention to our community in this way. Like there's some people in the community who exceed in just understanding and knowing what's going on, and if they have time and energy to give back, then I think it's important that we actually harness that and focus on them and really give important resources back to them, give any way we can. And so I'm very excited for us to really push the program even further to figure out how we can facilitate meaningful participation while also, not just being a centralized point in the system here. And so big thanks. Like some of our ambassadors are so tuned in that I feel like they know things sometimes before we even do, a lot of times. And so big thanks to the community. It just goes to show how the internet and online communities really just bring out the best in projects. So
yeah. And actually, I forgot to put a screenshot here, but I'll just pull my change the share to this tab here. So we actually have rewards for ambassadors as well. So not only do we give rewards, as you can see here, for open source contributors, but we actually give rewards to the ambassadors. So on a monthly basis, we kind of will see, okay, well, first of all, the ambassadors kind of just get rewards every month because they're ambassadors, because of all the contributions they're consistently giving. And then, there's opportunities for bonus rewards also for going above and beyond. So yeah, this is oss.lilypad.tech. Go check it out. It's awesome. And we want that to grow.
Our GitHub is open. We have, a lot of code. And so if you feel like you have some energy to give back and you want to earn some Lily bits, please go look at our GitHub and see our open issues, and we'd love to have your help.
Yeah, as you see on the right here, there's a bunch of awesome contributions from some of the ambassadors, like even working on like the WSL native RP, Lilypad monitoring services, like tons of awesome stuff. Yeah. Anyway, by the way, feel free. We got the chat open here. Feel free to ask us questions at any point. You know, we're not just sitting here just to hear Logan and I talk. You know, we want to hear from the community. We want questions. You know, things are going well. We also have things that are you know going a little sideways that we need to fix and that we are fixing. I think the community has seen us sort of like realize that we have some kind of problem, and then we sort of address it very quickly. And so we're not afraid to talk about these things, and we've got solutions to most things in the works. And so anyway, feel free to just throw whatever you're thinking at us. But anyway, the next exciting thing to talk about is our new rewards calculation. So when we launched the Lilybit program, the base sort of how to calculate rewards was based on hash rate. So you run a proof of work every once or twice every hour, and we take that hash rate and basically cross-reference that with the daily uptime multiplier that I mentioned before, and that determines how many points you get. Now, what we realized over time, especially as we got bigger cards on the network like A100s, and I know we have some like GH200s coming, that they are not as optimized for running proof of work, for running Kekkak. And so the hash rate that like a 4090 would provide was not really that much different than an A100. And so I think that's been sort of a bottleneck to some of the bigger cards coming on the network. Is it's been kind of well known that A100s, H100s, GH200s, these cards that are tuned for AI, for running AI models specifically, because they have huge amounts of VRAM, tons of tensor cores and tons of CUDA cores, that the rewards calculation wasn't really factoring that in enough. And so yesterday, with the new update, the 2.9.0 update, we pushed the new rewards calculation where all GPUs are reporting their card details to us. So they're telling us that the card type, VRAM, CUDA cores, tensor cores, and those three things are basically VRAM, CUDA cores, tensor cores are now factored into the rewards calculation and essentially multiplied by the daily rewards multiplier. So to then determine the number of Lilybits that you would earn on a daily basis. And so we do still require RPs to run proof of works, same as always, twice every hour. But the hash rate is no longer used. Instead, we're just basically using the proof of work to determine, are you online? What's your uptime? And what kind of multiplier are you entitled to? Is it just 1x? If you're only online for 4 hours, that's okay. You get 1x. And then that's multiplied by your VRAM, CUDA, and tensor cores. So yeah, we're really, really excited to push this. This was actually, partially like the team has been familiar with this for quite a while. The community also brought this up. And so this was like a very important thing to push. And we're just like super happy that it's done, and that now we're talking to providers with more A100s, more H100s, more GH200s. These cards that have like what is it, Logan? 96 gigabytes of VRAM on a GH200, or was it more? 128? How big? I forget. How much VRAM are we talking?
Do you remember? It just depends on the configuration. For a Grace Hopper, if it's only one. Let's see what the VRAM. If it's only a single sled, only a single node, it's gonna have around, give or take.
That's like, you don't have to stress too much. I just was wondering if you knew off the top of your head, but it's chunky. It's chunky. I think it's like 128 gigabytes of VRAM, if I'm not mistaken, for like the base GH200. 96. Joshua's saying 96. Yeah. That I have. Ooh, Joshua. Okay, well, we might need to chat. We definitely want more GH200s. We're working with some like incredible BioML researchers who are basically taking LLMs that are trained to do like protein folding and to do like protein simulations, and essentially like reduce the time for new drug discovery by a factor of 100 by basically using these LLMs to simulate various things. And so to basically investigate rare disease research, investigate proteins, create new enzymes. And so anyway, those jobs require quite a bit of VRAM. Logan, are you familiar?
This is funny. The issue is that the GH200 main CPU is an ARM CPU. I have been hearing about this. Yeah, those Ampere CPUs, PyTorch and our drivers don't really like that new type of CPU. We like our x86 CPUs. And so very niche and very esoteric form of information there, Joshua. You are. I've been hearing about this as well. Have you? And a question for you: have you gotten some models working? Like, have you had to rebuild your PyTorch? Have you been successful doing it? I'm just so curious. I'm just dying to talk to you.
Yeah. Well, actually, we know Joshua. We know Joshua was nice enough to come to our Filecoin Orbit event.
That's Joshua. Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, Joshua, great to have you here. Don't worry, we haven't forgotten about you. As you just heard, we pushed the new GPU card info update yesterday. And so we didn't really want to bother you too much until that was done, because again, we weren't really rewarding correctly for those types of cards. So yeah, we will be reaching out to you. Super excited to have you here. Okay, so you're saying you need 3.12 Python.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that would make sense. Thank you. 3.12. Yeah, we were talking to some other folks who have a few Grace hoppers as well, and they were telling us the same exact thing, which I find very, very interesting. Cool.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Anyway, a lot more exciting, stuff's coming on that, because at the end of the day, it's like you want to put those things to work, right? Of course, you want to earn rewards and run proof of works. That's cool, but to actually put those things to work, running, for example, like some massive BioML models. Like Logan, are you familiar? I forget exactly how much VRAM like RF diffusion needs, for example. I don't know if you remember that specifically off the top of your head, but like there's a couple of big ones that we were looking at. What were some of the ones that you were looking at? It may not have been RF diffusion.
I know like some of the 40 billion parameter models need like at least 100 gigs, which is pretty heavy. That's 2 H100s. And then, there's so much complexity when it goes into running those models apart from just having enough VRAM. But yeah, the bigger models at over 100 gigs. And then a lot of these models will pair it with another model after like the output is finished, and so you'll end up like sometimes loading the models all at once, and so instead of just needing 100, you need 200 because you have two models, and so
that's what's so cool is we've got like a workflow of models. So for this BioML work, it's not just like run one model and you're done. It's we're like stringing together a workflow of like 3 different models where the output from the first one is the input for the second one. So a lot more. I think we're going to have our head of research join us on the next one, Stanley, to kind of come talk about the details around that, because I'm not going to pretend like I'm an expert in BioML, but anyway, but we were very excited to support it.
Right.
And hi Levy, welcome. Thanks for coming. So yeah, that's sort of like as we do on these live streams, as we kind of like talk about Lilypad a bit, and then we want to kind of just open the floor up and obviously talk to Logan about what's going on in engineering, what are some of the exciting things that the team's pushing right now. But before we do that, just get involved, right? We've got our Discord here. Check out our website. Join us on Twitter. We put out a lot of blogs. Actually, I just noticed a blog was just dropped. I can actually share my screen here. Check this out: Unfolding the Mysteries of Protein Structure, Colab Fold on Lilypad. So go check this out. This is sort of part of our BioML push, using Colab Fold to do a lot of really interesting things, proteins predictors, basically, to where, we're, basically, at the long story short, helping in the long run aid in discovering new things, new proteins, new enzymes for, whether it's like drug discovery or, interestingly enough, our head of research was talking about sort of enzymes that are sort of used in commercial use. Like, for example, Chobani, has apparently engineered their own enzymes to sort of improve the quality of their product, reduce the cost, I guess. So yeah, we're really excited and kind of like watching to see where this part of the ML world takes us. But at the end of the day, we're excited to have the compute available to be able to provide access to these labs, access to these researchers. I mean, some of these researchers are independent researchers, right? And so they don't really have too much access to compute. And so anyway, we're just like very excited to help support that. But I guess as I said before, do we have any questions here? Okay, we had a question about when we were releasing tokenomics. Are you guys able to share anything on the topic? So the tokenomics paper is in review. Our white paper is also in review at this moment. And I believe what we have said publicly is that the expectation is it'll be released publicly by the end of this month. Based on what I'm seeing, it looks like we're probably on track for that. It could be early December. Because again, like we're running this incentive net and we're learning so much about the mechanisms, like what's working, what's not working. And so some of that has sort of, I don't want to say like slowed us down, but it's like feedback loops, right? So we've got our head of our sort of tokenomics and white paper effort working with the Crypto Econ Lab from Protocol Labs, really, really awesome group. And the question that we have is like, they come up with the plan for example, job pricing, right? And then we say, hey, well, we learned this about the network, so why don't we sort of like shift that based on what we've learned? And so, yeah, I would expect by the end of this month, early December, we'll be releasing the information. And what we can share is the plan is to launch, Lilypad token as an ERC20. And again, the use case for the token is one, users pay compute providers in Lilypad tokens for jobs. I'm sure like our SaaS product will abstract away some of that, and for non-crypto users. And then as a resource provider on mainnet, you will be required to collateralize Lilypad tokens to be able to run jobs. And of course, the reason for that is like any other deepened network is to incentivize the right behavior, incentivize long-term participation, and sort of create a feedback loop for nodes that potentially are caught, misbehaving or not providing services correctly. So that will, create inherent demand for Lilypad tokens, and we foresee even like potentially capital markets for that, like Filecoin. And so, yeah, I feel like that's pretty much what we can share right now. I also don't want to talk too much about things that haven't been fully finalized. And so, yeah, that's kind of the high level. But if you have any specific questions, like throw them in the chat. We can definitely try to answer them. Levy's asking, I'm trying to pop up my RP and I'm blocked to claim LP tokens. Okay, so are you referring to the faucet because we go to the faucet to get testnet LP tokens? Is that what you're blocked doing? Because right now you can't claim, there's no ERC20 to claim. The way it works is, here, I'll pull this up. We have the leaderboard. And so every day at 10 a.m. or 10 minutes after midnight UTC, this updates. And so this is based on, it was based on hash rate and oh, okay. So you're saying it's the faucet. Okay. Yeah.
I just tried the faucet and it seems as if the faucet's working for me. So maybe try it again. Like I said, I just tried it with my Ethereum address and it sent me 20 tokens. So I just tried that as I saw it. So maybe try it again, Levy.
Yeah, but of course, like if you have any issues at all, like go into our Discord. Let me put this back up for you. Yeah, Discord is right at the top here, lilypad.tech/Discord. I believe that's correct. Let me just confirm that.
Levy, if you have a question, just put it in our Discord as a help ticket, and we'll take a look at it for sure.
Yeah. Oh, it's lilypad.team/Discord. I need to update that link. Yeah, come join. But yeah, I mean, you can ask us here. Obviously, we're here to. Someone is withdrawing like crazy. Yeah, we're implementing an additional, or we're implementing more rate limiting on that. I don't think that's been fully implemented yet. There's no reason to like stock up on tons of those testnet tokens. Those will not be redeemable for anything of value. And so, if someone wants to do that, that's on them. But again, there's no reason to stock up on those tokens, except for the fact that when you do run a job, you obviously need to have those Lilypad testnet tokens in your wallet so that your RP can process the transaction. So that's the reason to have them. But again, there's no reason to try to get like 1,000 of those things. Okay, yeah, Levy, if you're saying you can't, no problem. Just I would say, would you put the link that you're? Is it what is it? Faucet-testnet.lilypad.tech. Is that the domain that you're on? Sometimes we do see issues with it. Maybe if sorry to ask, but if you want to open up a ticket in our I need help section of our Discord. If you can like put us give us like a screenshot or the error you're seeing, we'll definitely take a look at it. But yeah, I think Logan was saying he was able to get tokens. So definitely just let us know what the deal is, and any screenshots, any information is helpful, to give us more specificity on what's happening. But yeah, that's awesome. So Logan, I think let's get into the juicy stuff. Let's get into what's going on right now. What's the team working on? We just had a team offsite. The engineering team has actually been here in Austin, Texas, for just a quick basically 2-day mainnet development sesh, if you call it that. And so, yeah, we really have sort of synced together as a team, gotten sort of like all the information in from IncentiveNet, all the information in from the white paper, tokenomics, and then we sat down together as an engineering team and cross-reference all that and sort of put together the plan. So maybe we won't like get into like the whole like mainnet roadmap, but yeah, Logan, what's some of the exciting stuff you think we should focus on right now? I mean, we got multi GPU architecture, we've got a new DevNet for a testing environment, we've got yeah, I don't know. I think I'll leave it up to you to decide what we want to dive into first.
So I'm not quite sure what I'm at liberty. A lot of the stuff that we were talking about in this glorious few days here in Austin with the entire engineering team. One of the big things we worked out was we started to really map out what the path was for a lot of our needs for our mainnet push, and so we have collated all of the problems, requests, and desires from the various people in the community as well as the team. And we've organized it into a massive plan, ranging from all the different sections within Lilypad. So we have a lot of pieces in this orchestration of moving parts. And so something that I am focused on is our module orchestration or module tools, running machine learning modules on Lilypad. So that's like, I guess talk a little bit about that. We have a lot of other pieces within Lilypad, pieces such as the solver, the job creator. We've got our on-chain orchestration of contracts. We have our infrastructure, so there's a lot of moving pieces. And so it was really awesome to connect with the engineers on the team, figure out what is needed. There's a lot of overlap between these pieces and the different sections of these pieces, so to speak. So the solver will affect things within the modules. The solver will affect things within the job creator, and so it was really crucial and important that the team really connect and work through all of these intricacies. But yeah, for the modules, we have a plan. I have a plan for what is needed to be built. We kind of push all of this to the leads of Lilypad, our C-suite or the administration of Lilypad, to make sure that this fits within their idea and their scope. And that's really just like, I know it's very high level. We kind of have a plan is all I'm really saying. But
I mean, I wouldn't mischaracterize it. I mean, we have a lot more than a plan. I mean, we've got the mainnet architecture being built out as we speak. It's just a matter of implementing the right mechanisms and sort of making some very tough technical decisions about sort of future-proofing that, right? And that's the reason that we're pushing for mainnet launch by the end of Q1 next year, is because like it doesn't take that much effort to spin up, like, for example, like an L3 orbit chain, right? But future-proofing that, making sure that you're implementing everything from the white paper, making sure job pricing makes sense, making sure our module marketplace makes sense. Like so many things, as Logan said, they're all interconnected. And so one of the big things we should talk about is, I just pulled this up from the docs, is building a module, like, because that's something that you're working on, Logan. Just real quick, I saw, Anissa, I see your message here.
Everything that comes, sorry, I see the message too, Alex. I wanted to comment. Everything that comes from Lilypad, it comes from lilypad.tech. That's our domain address. It's on our website. Anything that is from a different DNS address, anything from a different web address is not us. These are typical online disclaimers that we need to follow. So please do be careful. We don't have any responsibility for money given to entities that aren't us.
No, absolutely. And please be careful. Please, like Logan said, lilypad.tech is our domain. We do use lilypadnetwork.org for our blog. But apart from that, please, and thank you for flagging that with us, Anissa. We'll see if we can maybe get that domain something to do with that. But we appreciate the
Yeah,
letting us know about that. There's not too much we can do, but again, we'll do our best. But yeah, so moving on from that, so obviously running modules, which again is just a Docker image that runs on the Lilypad network, is like the core functionality of, apart from the module, from the actual like GPU marketplace, right? Is being able to run these Docker images on the network. So I've got our docs pulled up here. I think they could probably be updated. But at the moment, we talk about kind of like how to build a job module from a high level. Maybe Logan, you want to maybe just talk about like what is a module and like maybe some of the ins and outs of how you're getting them to work really well.
So as of right now, modules, I'll just a quick disclaimer just so everybody in the community knows, our modules are especially our GPU based compute modules. So machine learning Docker images that use GPUs. We're having a few stability issues running those on the network. Our CPU jobs have seemed to be semi-consistent, but we have seen an issue. So before I talk about modules, I will preface by saying we are seeing a lot of issues with modules on the network, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend people go and use this quite yet, just due to the stability that we're seeing and the problems we're seeing on our resource providers. Hopefully all of those issues are ironed out and fixed within the next 2 weeks, within the next update. There is a lot of Lilypad resource providers who are either running their RP with no Lilypad balance or no Arbitrum balance, which is causing a lot of flakiness within returning and performing jobs. And so we are doing a lot of updates to actually fix that. But on the other note, on the module, build a module note.
Actually, yeah, Logan, sorry, let me just add one more thing to that. In the recent update 2.9.0 that launched yesterday, we added another thing on the lines of what Logan's talking about, to where you have 2 weeks to update to the latest version of Lilypad, and then we'll deprecate the previous version. And so part of the reason that Logan is mentioning some inconsistencies with running modules, part of that reason is because a lot of RPs have not been updated to the latest version. Thus, some of the fixes that we've implemented to address some of these problems are not being factored in. And so, yeah, again, just for all resource providers to be aware, when we communicated this in the Discord, we're going to give a 2-week window, and then we're going to basically deprecate the old version. And that way we can get jobs running smoothly.
So yeah, as a Lilypad resource provider, you are required to keep your node up to date, and we are going to start enforcing that, as well as a lot of other enforcements to be determined in the future that we're working on. So, but yes, to the modules, a Lilypad module is just a machine learning job, a machine learning parallel sequence of events that you send to either a compute provider, a CPU, or a GPU, graphics card provider. And so in Lilypad, we have our resource providers who are able to, they're just a load of GPUs, a rather large one at this point. They basically will broadcast the ability to run a machine learning model. And so as they're doing that, as they're saying, hey, my name's Logan, I can run a module runner, somebody who actually wants to perform some compute on Lilypad, they can say Lilypad run, and whatever the GitHub repository is, a Docker module can be sent to the resource provider, aka me, and my resource provider can run the job, provide the person who ran the job an output. And so hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. But
it also doesn't have to be an AI ML model, right? It could also just be some Python program or some kind of arbitrary code, right?
Correct. Yeah, we work with CPU and GPU jobs, but yes, there's a lot of tooling that we want to come out with to make it easier for people to run jobs on our decentralized network. There's a lot of pricing. There's a lot of tooling that we're working on, as well as features for people who create modules. We don't want to just be paying resource providers for running modules. We also want to be paying the people who create the modules. And so if I am running another individual's module and I'm using that knowledge that they used, then that creator can require a fee to run the module. And so as I run X person's module, I'll be paying them because I'm using something that they created. Pretty awesome. There's a lot of ins and outs to making that actually work and orchestrating that in a sensible way. And so that's one of the things we were doing this week.
Yeah. So yeah, we're basically alluding to the module marketplace, right? The Lilypad module marketplace. Yeah. So we probably haven't mentioned much about it. We should have. So right now, the module marketplace exists as really a bunch of Docker images, mostly on like Docker Hub, GitHub, options of what can be run on the Lilypad network. The SaaS product that we'll be launching probably early next year is intended to do what Logan just said. So you're able to produce a module, make it available to the community, and then if the community uses it, you could potentially earn income from that. And so that's really exciting for, especially like we have these incredible bioML researchers that we're working with, and they are having I mean, they're doing great, but they are sort of like interested in this idea of using verifiable, so cryptographically verifiable data, right? So potentially saving the data on IPFS, the inputs, the outputs, maybe the model themselves, then having verifiable compute that the job ran successfully, and then having smart contract blockchain payment rails to actually provide a piece of the fee back to the module creator. And so that's something we were fleshing out, as a team recently, because it is a little bit tricky to like get that mechanics right and fair. Because of course you want stuff to also be like, you want free modules, you want there to be competition, you want there to be sort of like a flowing marketplace. And so that's the idea for the module marketplace. It's a huge component of the system, and that we're super excited to support. But under the hood is what Logan's talking about. It's like, how do you actually build a module? Where do you host it? How does it run on the network? And so there's a lot of ins and outs to that. But yeah, Logan and our other coworker Arson are our module masters. They know how to do it.
Hopefully. Love it. Yeah. Honored to be a fellow module master.
Yeah.
Love
cool.
it.
Yeah. So, I mean, apart from that, I mean, we're excited to get the white paper out. It's been a work in progress. I think I mentioned we're working with the Crypto Econ Lab from a team that spun out of Protocol Labs, who, are kind of experts at building different blockchain networks, different tokenomics models, and, providing us a lot of expertise. We do have internally our sort of our head of our tokenomics, head of our white paper research, Clint, who's an absolute legend, awesome person, awesome individual, who's doing the actual writing. And it's just a matter of cross-referencing the theory with the actual engineering, right? And factoring all that in, considering what we've learned from IncentiveNet, right? I mean, we've learned so much. It's been an incredible experience, incredible system. I think we've had maybe over 2,000 addresses sign up. Obviously that, they're not always online all the time, and there also are some other discrepancies with that, but it's been amazing to sort of scale up. And then what we're seeing is all of those resource offers coming in to our solver, right, to our market matching engine, and having to deal with that, right? I think if there's some vets from the community here who've been around for a while, you're aware that we've had some scaling issues in the past, and simply it's because we weren't necessarily expecting to have so many GPUs come online so quickly. And so our team has been very carefully updating the infrastructure to be able to handle that scale. And we continue to do that. And that's all being factored into the white paper. Of course, with a system like this, you don't want to push updates too quickly. You don't want to just start breaking stuff. But it's been quite an experience. And I know the team has sort of shifted a lot of focus to mainnet, because we want to get that up. And of course, all the research providers who are running right now they're incentivized for us to do that, right? Because we all want the mainnet to launch with the token generation event. So, but anyway, yeah, IncentiveNet's been going well, and we continue to push updates to that. We've decided to go with like a 2-week release cadence, and so yesterday was the 2.9.0 release. 2 weeks from yesterday, we will release either 2.9.1 or 2.1.0 or 3. I don't know. We'll see what the team. It depends obviously on how big the updates are, and like how core they are to the protocol. But the idea is that we have a 2-week window to get RPs updated, to sort of iron out any kind of bugs that are noticed, and to really, you know, get feedback on the updates that we've pushed. As Logan mentioned, like one of the things we've noticed is that a lot of RPs just run out of tokens. And that's kind of an innocent thing, right? I mean, you maybe just didn't notice the wallet balance, and all of a sudden, your tokens are at zero. Your Arbitrum ETH and your LP testnet tokens are one of them or both of them are at zero. And so, for example, that will just, if a job gets sent to that node, that job will fail. And so we're discovering just so many different edge cases on the incentive net of why a job might fail. Typically it's, unless if the node is configured correctly, then typically it comes down to, some other like market matching, intricacies. So one thing Logan says is if you're running an AI model on just like some server in some data center, just without blockchain, without distributed computing, without, our crazy market matching mechanism, that's really difficult. That is, we're doing some crazy parallel processing. You need a lot of compute, and that by itself is difficult, right? Now we're over here orchestrating that same compute on a distributed global network, matching you with some GPU, ideally relatively close to you, on the edge somewhere. That's something that we're sort of factoring in and discussing about the best way to implement in mainnet is, we intend to be like one of the of an extremely powerful edge network, right? If Lilypad has 5,000, 10,000, 50,000 nodes, we can help orchestrate, basically help kind of get around the speed of light problem, right? It's the same thing with, Cloudflare Workers, for example, right? It's just caching, right? It's just sort of edge compute, caching data at the edge.
Right. Or if you necessarily don't care about being on the edge, if that's not what your product or your orchestration is tuned for, then pushing it to somewhere far away, having the compute done in a country where compute is really cheap, and then sending the output back is also something, so being able to define what your parameters are and have our solver take care of the rest is really like the key here. Being able to have a very powerful job spec within our Lilypad specification is kind of key here. But yes, edge compute is hyper important, especially for the masses of people who want to do it.
Yeah, and that's definitely a huge part of the vision, right? Is like in the long run, using peer-to-peer networking, using crypto economic incentives, using like blockchain verification, using IPFS for like verifiable hash data. In the long run, we can build safer, faster, cheaper systems for developers, for businesses, for researchers, and lower the cost of compute, as time goes on. Like obviously there's a lot of competition for providing GPUs. One thing we are ultra excited about, and sorry, Logan, I'm gonna put you on the spot here a little bit, is providing multi-GPU architectures on Lilypad. So currently, we support NVIDIA GPUs, and sort of even our rewards calculation is sort of based on that, on CUDA cores, tensor cores. But what we're working on internally is running AI models on AMD cards. That's sort of the next step. Of course, there's Intel cards and Arc, but right now we're Logan specifically has dived deep into ROCm on AMD. And we've just noticed a lot of reasons to use AMD cards to run AI models. One being there's just a lot of supply. They're not as expensive, but their software is not necessarily tuned for parallel processing like NVIDIA cards are. So I don't know, Logan, do you want to maybe talk a little bit about that? I'm just so excited about it. I'm sorry. Hopefully I'm not like bringing it up too much with you, but it's, so at the end of the day, it's like when you have more supply, the cost the cost goes down. Right, when the cost of that supply goes down, right? And so if we can unlock all these different GPU architectures, then in the long run, we'll be able to have that crazy edge network that we're talking about. We'll be able to reduce the cost of compute, ideally, and then also help all these people run AI models on these cards that they currently can't, or it's very difficult to.
Right. Yeah, I think that just providing people different runtimes that, if we all use one type of runtime, one type of driver, then we are putting all of our eggs in a single basket. That is not necessarily a good idea, especially in the long term. And so a lot of entities, a lot of people are a lot of programmers are very excited to be able to adapt and use different runtimes for our compute, for our processes that we set up. Like I remember back in college, like we all wanted drivers for NVIDIA cards on our Apple devices, and like NVIDIA and Apple just weren't really close, and they're not really like friendly to each other. So we never did get those drivers. And so we had to end up using, if you wanted to use a GPU with a Mac OS device, you needed to use Radeon, because AMD and Apple were friends. And so I feel like, yeah, there's really quite a lot of solutions in terms of the large ML game. A lot of stuff we're looking at is just RockM has a lot of translation protocols to where if you say, run this like in NVIDIA, RockM AMD can basically translate it to its own language. And so there's a crazy amount of interest there. Like, that's super cool. There's also a lot of runtimes where they work on both NVIDIA and AMD and Intel cards as well. So that's like really, really exciting. We have a message here from Joshua, our homie. I'm very interested in the power efficiency of RockM in laptops versus NVIDIA. Exactly. Like, one of the big paths that NVIDIA has taken to improve the power of their GPUs is just throwing more energy at them. I think a 4090 will max out at like 450, 500 watts. I mean, insanity for a single card. That's just crazy. But yeah, I'm very excited about Apple as well. They're some of the most power efficient compute possible. But yeah, for laptops, I think Apple has really like shown how power efficiency and if it just raw power actually wins. I really do love my M device, but I was excited to see the new Intel processors kind of adapt a more power efficient architecture. And so hopefully everybody does that, AMD is like, I'm like the biggest fan of AMD. But
yeah. Well, and speaking of Apple, we've been talking a lot about the new M4 and the Mac Mini. That new Mac Mini.
Yeah.
Logan's trying to find any reason to get a new Mac Mini, So if someone in the chat has a good reason, let us.
Right. Yeah. Let's get like 4 of them, stack them up, and connect them via that Thunderbolt.
Yeah. But you realize if you do that, then you're going to have to figure out how to get them running on Lilypad, right? And you're already busy with AMD, so I don't know.
Yeah. I'll have it, and then whenever I get to it, then I'll use that big cluster I built. Yeah.
Yeah.
Until then, it'll just sit there and just look really cool.
Yeah. Well, we've got some other good processes we can run on it, but yeah, that's definitely actually one of the open source issues is an exploratory of checking, looking at Apple and their hardware and seeing how that can run on the Lilypad network. So if someone wants to pick that up, I mean, that would be awesome. It's sort of been framed as an exploratory, so just kind of look into it, experiment, see what can be done. But if someone figures out a good implementation, like as you see, we are very incentivized to provide rewards, to individuals who help us with large impactful work like that. So I got to plug our open source initiative and some of the open issues right now, of course, right? And so yeah, that's a big one. That's definitely a big task, but we would be so happy for someone in the community to pick that up. But cool. Well, with that, I think we're gonna have to jump. This has been so much fun. But join the next AMA. So next week's AMA will be hosted by our coworkers on the other side of the planet. I actually believe this time around it's going to be a Chinese specific AMA for our community in China. And so our China's community lead Tao Sheng will be hosting that AMA. Very exciting. And then Logan and I will be back for our next AMA the following week, same time as today. Come with your questions. Come with awesome information. Speaking of awesome information, Joshua says he's got some notes on his Grace Hopper plus Lilypad plus ARM issues. Oh, hell yeah. Okay, thank you. In the Discord.
Nice.
We got, here, yeah. Oh, cool. I can make that show up on the screen. Nice. Okay, yeah. So we will check that out, and we will get back to you on that one. Thank you so much. Cool. With that, we bid you all farewell, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you, Alex.
Thanks, Logan. See you.